Hello, so this is Professor Morgan, and I'm going to answer a question that I get asked a lot. Sometimes by people in school, sometimes by students, sometimes people outside of academia. And they're like, higher education is such a waste of money. It is such a waste of time. You don't need a degree to be successful in life. And the answer to that is that's true. You don't. You don't need a degree to be successful in life. Um, okay, so why do people go and spend the time and money and effort to get an education? People say, "Oh, it's just a piece of paper." I look over my shoulder here. There's one of my pieces of paper. That's my for my MFA. It's on my wall. Okay, if I were to take that piece of paper and I were to go to McDonald's and say, "Hey, I want combo 5, and look at this piece of paper. Look what I got." You know how much they're going to charge me for combo number 5? The same price as if I didn't have the piece of paper. So it's like, what's the point, right? There is a point. There's a very important point. I'm going to be honest. It's my opinion, but it's been my experience. The most important thing about getting an education is learning how to learn. And that is a skill you will use for the rest of your life. When I went and got my bachelor's degree, my focus was television production, doing newscasts, doing other sorts of live productions, and primarily newscasts. And I spent hours and hours and hours learning the equipment. Very complicated, this big switcher and how all the different features, how it worked, how the cameras worked, how the video graphics worked, and everything, how the audio worked, everything. I learned all these skills. And then I graduated, got a job in television, and the first television station I worked at, the equipment was similar, but different. I knew the basics, but I didn't know that equipment, okay? But because I had spent so much time learning the concepts of what it was and why things worked the way they did, I was able to pick up on how it worked, okay? As I worked in the field and I moved from, market to a smaller market to the bigger market, the New York market, equipment changed again. And it was, it's almost like every 2 years, or every year there's a new cell phone that comes out or a new computer that comes out or whatever, and they're just a little different. And the equipment that would come out, the technology that would come out would just be a little different. And yet, and the folks so I was an operations manager at the TV station, up in the New York area, and we would, we had all sorts of folks. When I took over as the as the operations manager, we had some younger folks, we had some older folks, we had some really experienced folks, and the company came in and said, well, we're going to completely change the software and the equipment of how we're going to use newscasts, where we went from going from I had 21 employees, because that's how many we took about 7 people to do a newscast from a production side, do this new technology which allowed us to do it with 2 people, and it automated a lot of the things. And I had to just so I had 21 employees and I got to keep 6, and this was the company's decision, not my decision. And I had worked with these folks for years, and I had to make the decision of who was going to stay and who was going to go. And the people that stayed were those who had demonstrated that they were willing to learn the new stuff that kept coming in. Because we had folks that were like, no, I just want to do this thing. I just want to stay on the audio board. I know the audio board. That's all I want to do. I don't want to learn anything else. Or I just want to be on the camera. And camera 2 is my camera. That's the only thing I'm ever going to do. And so they weren't able to adapt and grow and learn and continue to learn how to learn. And so move forward now to, I changed careers and now I'm in academia and I'm an author. Things continue to change. The way that I would promote myself as an author when I first got started, 12 years ago, is not the same way now. The technology's changed. The platforms have changed. When it comes to academia, the way that we approach things, online, I mean, especially with COVID, that what came in was a game changer of how we can communicate with each other and with students. It was, it's funny because like as a department head at my school, all our department meetings used to be, we have a department meeting every single month. Pre-COVID, we would all get together in a room. It was generally a classroom, and have the meeting. So everyone, and we all had a time scheduled off during that time where everyone was free. They weren't teaching classes, and we would all get together physically in a room and have this meeting. We don't do that anymore. We do it over Zoom, and we still cover the information, and we still have great interaction and stuff like this, but it's actually been a time saver because we're so busy as instructors that instead of it's like having to go from my office over here to the other part of campus to go to this meeting and then walk back, whatever, it's like, okay, I can do my meeting, I can be working on stuff up until my meeting, and then I can finish the meeting, and then I can just go off and do my stuff, stay in my office, or go off and teach my class or whatever. So the idea is being able to learn how to learn, and that is a skill you're going to use for the rest of your life. I mean, we're just scratching the surface right now, in my opinion, of really what technology is able to do. Again, technology is not inherently good or bad. It's just how we use it. And so also being educated helps you get a broader perspective of maybe what's a good idea and what's not a good idea. So that's my encouragement for you when people say, oh, why do I need a degree? Well, and frankly, honestly, there are times when companies downsize, and one of the criteria they use are who has degrees. Is that fair? Who said life was fair? Okay. So, and honestly, as a hiring manager, because I also hire folks, a degree shows the fact that someone can actually dedicate themselves to something and see it through to the end, which is also a big important skill to learn. So it's not just about getting a piece of paper. It's not just about, saying, oh, look at this. Look, I have all these little letters after my name that show that I'm Mr. Fancy Pants. It's really about bettering you as an individual. At least that's my opinion. Okay. All right. Think about that. Please? All right.